Hey guys, and welcome back to another Ancestry Album video. Today I will be covering the Hobgoblin Ancestry. Only one video on this ancestry because, well, I only have one book of stuff to go through. The Hobgoblin Ancestry wasn't really an ancestry I thought about playing before, but once I read it I thought it might be cool to play a Hobgoblin Alchemist, which I just covered some Alchemist class feats in a video last week, and I will be covering the rest of them later this week. If you want to check out the two Alchemist videos I've done, check out the videos in the card. Hobgoblins are built to be commanders, especially of regular goblins. Goblins are usually pretty scared of hobgoblins, so that makes sense. Let's dive into them, shall we? Hold up. Let's get started with the basics. Hobgoblins start with 8 ancestry hit points, are medium creatures, and have a speed of 25 feet. For ability boosts, they get Constitution, Intelligence, and a free one. Their ability flaw is Wisdom. They start with Common and Goblin, as well as additional languages equal to their Intelligence modifier, which is going to be at least 1 because they get a boost to Intelligence. Hobgoblins also get Dark Vision just like their regular Goblin counterparts. Now let's move on to Hobgoblin heritages. Elfbane Hobgoblins have some ancestral resistance to magic, which of course all Hobgoblins refer to as quote-unquote elf magic. You gain the Resist Elf Magic reaction. This reaction basically gives you a +1 to a saving throw against magic once per round. And if the magic happens to be arcane, then you get a +2. Getting a +1 to anything will always be good, and a +2 if the spell's arcane is even better. Next we have the Runt Boss Hobgoblin. With this heritage, you are better at commanding the lower goblins than other hobgoblins. You gain the Group Coercion skill feat. In addition, if you roll a success on Intimidation to coerce a goblin, this is just goblins. Cannot stress this enough. Cannot be any other creature with the goblin trait, such as another hobgoblin or a bugbear. You get a crit success instead. And if you roll a crit failure, you get a failure instead. Smokeworker hobgoblins gain fire resistance equal to half their level, and they don't need to roll the flat check to target a concealed creature if that creature is only concealed by smoke. They automatically succeed at this check. These hobgoblins have been alchemists and engineers for generations, so they are used to using fire. That's why they get these bonuses. War March hobgoblins are very good at scavenging and being on the march. If they fail, but not crit fail, on checks to subsist in the wilderness, they can still keep themselves fed. In addition, while exploring, they can hustle twice as long before they have to rest. This heritage is okay. Being able to almost always subsist in the wilderness is good, but the hustle thing is really only good if the rest of the party can do so as well, such as in a party of these types of hobgoblins. Warmbred hobgoblins live underground. When you are underground, you can sense undetected creatures in a 30-foot burst instead of a 15-foot burst. Also, if you roll a success on acrobatics to squeeze, you get a crit success instead. This heritage is only good if you're going to be underground a lot, which honestly is often the case. Of course, it depends on your campaign too. Now we can move on to ancestry feats, starting with first level. First is Alchemical Scholar. This feat is incredible for any alchemist, or if you just want to dabble in alchemical items. But you can only take this feat at first level, and you are stuck with it once you take it. This feat adds even more alchemical formulas to your formula book. You gain 4 first-level alchemical formulas, and each time you gain a level, you gain a formula of that level as well. You still need alchemical crafting to actually make the items, but since that feat also gives you 4 formulas, that's a total of 8 formulas, which is outstanding. Plus you get a formula every time you level up too. Fantastic feat, definitely consider. Next is Hobgoblin Lore. This just gives you 3 skills: Athletics, Crafting, and Hobgoblin Lore. You become trained in all these skills. Of course, this does follow the rules for automatic training in skills, so if you're already trained in any of these skills, you get a different one. Hobgoblin weapon familiarity is like other weapon familiarity feats. You become trained in composite bows, glaives, halberds, long bows, long spears, long swords, short bows, and spears. You also gain access to all uncommon Hobgoblin weapons, which there aren't any yet, but when the developers come out with some, you will gain access to them with this feat. And of course, martial Hobgoblin weapons are considered simple weapons for you, and advanced Hobgoblin weapons are martial weapons for you. Leech Clipper is a really good feat if you want to use a flail. If you crit succeed on an attack roll with a flail, you can wrap the weapon around the target's legs and then drop it, causing them to fall. Yeah, you lose your weapon, but they have to get up, and they take a minus 10-foot penalty to speed until they or an ally spends 2 actions to get it off them. Forcing someone to use 2 actions on their turn is really good, especially if you're frail. You do have to use a flail though, so it's not that good for classes that don't get martial weapons. Remorseless Lash is a good feat if you are good at intimidation. When you hit a frightened enemy with a melee weapon, that creature is at least frightened 1 until the start of your next turn. So basically, you make sure that they are frightened for the entire round instead of them being able to calm down on their turn. Vigorous Health is a decent feat. Whenever you would gain the Drain condition, attempt a DC 17 flat check. On a success, you are not drained. The Drain condition isn't really something you'll run into until high level though, so I really don't think this should be a first level feat, or at least you shouldn't take it at first level, since you won't get much use out of it at that low of a level. Now we come to 5th level ancestry feats for the Hobgoblin. Antagonizing Rebuke is a feat that is also pretty good, but only if you want to do non-lethal damage to frightened creatures. When you use Intimidation to successfully demoralize a foe, that creature takes 1d4 mental damage at the start of each of its turns that it remains frightened and continues combat against you. If you are a master in Intimidation, you deal 2d4 mental damage, and if you're legendary, you deal 3d4 mental damage. Since mental damage is non-lethal damage, this feat is only really good if you want to incapacitate the enemy and not kill them. Expert's Drill Sergeant is good if your allies follow the expert while you are leading a lot. When doing so, you grant a +3 bonus instead of +2 to your allies if you are an expert in the skill, or if you're a master, they get +4. Very good if you are an expert or master in quite a few skills. Formation training requires you to be trained in all martial weapons to take, and is only really good if you have a party of hobgoblins. When you are adjacent to at least 2 hobgoblin allies, you gain a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws. This bonus increases to +2 on reflex saves against area effects. Hobgoblin Weapon Discipline is a lot like some other feats in other ancestries. Just gives you the crit specialization effects of weapons in the polearm, spear, or sword groups. So this is actually better than other feats like this because it doesn't just apply to the weapons covered in Hobgoblin Weapon Familiarity. You could use a scimitar if you wanted and still gain the benefits of this feat. At 9th level, we have the Pride in Arms feat. This feat gives you a reaction with the trigger. An ally within 30 feet brings down a foe. The triggering ally gains temporary hit points equal to their Constitution modifier until the end of their next turn. This feat is okay. Temporary hit points are always good, but unless there's a huge amount of enemies in front of you, it might not help you that much. Formation Master is just a better version of Formation Training. You gain the benefits of Formation Training as long as you are adjacent to at least 2 humanoid allies, even if they're not hobgoblins. Also, hobgoblin allies adjacent to you and 1 other hobgoblin ally gain the benefits of Formation Training. And now for the last feat for hobgoblins. Hobgoblin Weapon Expertise. This feat is just like other weapon expertise feats in other ancestries. When you become an expert or greater in any weapon from your class, you also gain that proficiency in all weapons you are trained in from Hobgoblin Weapon Familiarity. And that's going to wrap up this video. Later this week, I will be finishing the Alchemist class feats in another video. After that, I will be taking a break from recording for the holidays, but I will be re-editing my other Ancestry Album videos during that time so that maybe they'll get more views. I will also be dividing up some of the longer ones so that you guys can follow them better. Be sure to check out the Pathfinder Lair Facebook group and the Discord server as well. Links are in the description. So until next time, let's play some Pathfinder.
1, 2, 3, no.